Okay, I just wanted to record from two different angles for a different vantage point. All right. Ah, welcome, everybody. Welcome. So my name is Jennifer Gordon. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my God. So if you are clicking on this link, that means that you've either bought the book She Thrives or you came to the book launch and the gala and the conference that I'm getting all excited for, like right now, like that's what I'm doing right now. And so because I'm going to be launching my coaching business, my massage business, my third collaborative book that's a #1 bestseller on 3 categories. I'm going to be a lot visible. And also I'm doing Fab Over 40 again this year. So I'm going to be asking people to vote for me every day, like vote. It's for a good cause. It's for breast cancer awareness. And I'm a breast cancer survivor. And I am fabulous. And I'm over 40. I'm 49 this year. In the spring, I will be celebrating 5 years cancer-free and 50 years old. So it's quite a time of celebration for me. So I would like to read the chapter before She Thrives, which is what's coming out this weekend. I'm going to read you my little bio, and then I'm going to read you the story. And if you want to run and get a pen and paper, there's some journaling exercises at the end that I would love for you to try. So yeah, otherwise get a cup of tea, light a candle, get cozy in your PJs, your blankie, like whatever, you have your cat or your dog, like just get all cozy. So Jennifer Gordon is a breast cancer survivor and advocate whose journey is one of resilience, self-love, and empowerment. Diagnosed during the chaos of COVID-19 pandemic, she faced her battle head-on, combining a double mastectomy with reconstruction in a single 15-hour surgery. Alongside her healing, Jennifer embarked on a transformative path, exploring tantra and sexual wellness and discovering the power of pleasure and self-care in recovery. As a confidence and sexual wellness coach, she's passionate about helping others reconnect with their bodies, treating them as beloved companions. Jennifer is also an accomplished dragon boater, winning numerous gold medals and finding strength in the camaraderie of fellow survivors. Her journey from the depths of trauma to a place of profound self-respect and joy inspires others to embrace their own healing with courage and humor. That really is me. So in the book Soulful Beauty that came out, I think it was like maybe July, August, it was a summer read. This is the sacred awakening of womanhood, and there's 15 stories of self-acceptance and confidence in collaboration with Dion Tuplin and Heather Andrews. So what I wrote about in this one it's called Adorable Aggression, and it's about cultivating a fierce love for yourself. So in case you don't know the expression adorable aggression, it's when a baby is so cute that you just can't help but just go like dum, 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 to their little feetsies on their socks, or if you're a cat and you just get this little like it's an excitement, and it's kind of like yeah, it's adorable aggression. That's what cute aggression it's also called. So this is how I created a love affair with myself, because I'm sure if you know me, you have witnessed me having cute aggression for myself. It's part of my techniques in radical acceptance for who I am post-cancer and for the challenges that I live with, and for deep self-compassion for how hard that is, but also how beautiful it is when I can support myself through the struggle. So I wish everyone could borrow my eyes, the eyes of a bisexual woman, just for a moment, to look at themselves the way that I now see myself, through the lens of deep appreciation for the beauty of the female form, the art of womanhood, and the poetry of being. For so many years, I couldn't see my own beauty. I judged myself harshly, my reflection distorted by the lens of societal expectations and the male gaze. But when I allowed my attraction to women to unfold, when I gave myself permission to see the beauty in others like me, I found something magical that I could finally see myself. Standing in front of the mirror, I began to look at my curves, my moods, my grace, my delight, my hilarity, all through the eyes of a woman who loves women. And for the first time, I saw how exquisite I truly am. It was a revelation. The beauty had always been there waiting for me to look through the right eyes. So to you, dear reader, I offer a challenge. Think about your beloveds, your partners, your parents, your besties, your children, your pets. What makes you love them so much? Is it their perfection, or is it the perfection of their imperfection? The little idiosyncrasies that make them unique, that make them uniquely them. And then think of the honor that it is to be in someone's inner circle, to know those intimate, unseen details, their quirks, their asymmetries, the way they laugh, the shape of their body when they're at ease. It's a privilege to witness somebody fully. And yet, how often do we extend that same grace to ourselves? I will never forget the first time I did a boudoir shoot. There was a photo of me, of my backside, my booty, my bottom, my behind. And when I looked at it, shame flooded through me, like from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. I was terrified, terrified to show anyone this picture. Why? Because that part of me was unfamiliar. We don't see our backsides very much, do we? We see our faces, our fronts, maybe a twist in the mirror. But the back, full on, unknown territory for these eyes. And yet, to those who love me, my backside is completely familiar and the most normal thing in the world. They've seen it 1,000 times, probably more than I had myself. The photo I feared the most, it ended up getting the most complaints. That moment taught me something rare. It taught me that there are parts of us, physical, emotional, spiritual, that we rarely see and often judge harshly. But to the people who love us, those parts are just simply us. It's what makes us whole, it's what makes us beautiful and familiar. So soulful beauty, I've learned, is not about chasing perfection. It's about embracing every part of ourselves, even the ones that we want to shy away from. It's about trusting that we are worthy of being seen. I often think humanity has a fatal flaw, our tendency towards self-hatred and self-harm. I know it well. Yes, others have hurt me, some with words and some with actions, I know. But my greatest abuser has always been myself. The cruelest words that I have ever heard were spoken in my own mind. No one has abandoned me more than I have abandoned myself. And yet I am a survivor. I survived cancer. I cut it from my body like poison. And I wonder sometimes, if a surgeon could remove the poison of self-hatred from me, what would remain? Who would I be if I never spoke another cruel word to myself again? If I never turned my back on my own needs? That life is almost too big to imagine. A life where I am my own champion, my own safe harbor, my own first love. But here's the thing. I've started performing that surgery myself, not with scalpels, but with words, with actions, and with love. It's the most hardest. Oh no, soulful beauty to me is the unlearning of hatred and the relearning of love. For myself, from myself, as myself. It's the hardest, most sacred work that I have ever done. People have called me kind, but I've never believed them. How could I be kind when I was so cruel to myself? I held myself to impossible standards, punished myself for mistakes, and denied myself the grace that I gave others so freely. Somewhere in the middle of my cancer journey, the isolation of the pandemic, I made a decision. The cycle of self-cruelty ends with me. The first step was boundaries. As a border patrol officer in Afghanistan, I defended physical borders. When I began to see my body and my peace as my own sovereign nation, something clicked. To protect my peace was to protect my soul. I was the sovereign nation. I was the nation. I had spent years trying to save the world, working with homeless, victims of abuse, and survivors of war, but I never practiced self-compassion. The moment I turned that grace inward, the seeds of self-love began to grow. Now I defend my peace with the same ferocity that I once defended borders. I am kind, not just to the world, but to myself. And that is the truest form of soulful beauty. Falling in love with yourself is not an overnight process. It's not love at first sight, at least it wasn't for me. If you've spent years practicing self hatred, self love feels more like taming a wild animal. You have to meet yourself where you are. And for some, that might look like exercise, meditation, or gardening. For me, it's sitting in silence and listening. It's patience and small gestures, gifts of kindness, a moment of self care. Slowly, you build trust and with the wild part of yourself. This isn't about control, it's about collaboration. Like any good relationship, self love requires care, consistency, and patience. But the rewards, they are beyond measure. I've spent decades hating my reflection in the mirror, picking apart every wrinkle, scar, and curve, but now I feel something unexpected: delight. The things society told me were flaws, the curves I hid, the scars from my cancer journey are now my favorite parts of myself. They tell my story. What if the next time you looked in the mirror, you didn't see a list of complaints? What if you just looked at yourself with the same love that you'd give your favorite pet or the cutest baby? Imagine giggling at your quirks and purring in delight at your reflection. What if you gave yourself that kind of joy? Soulful beauty is not about perfection. It is about the wild, messy, radiant love story that you write with yourself. It's the courage to see your reflection and honor the life that you've lived. It's about letting joy spill all over into every part of your life. This is the magic of soulful beauty. It doesn't come from someone else's gaze or approval, it comes from within. And when you finally see it in yourself, the world will just reflect it back to you. Whew. You've probably heard the saying that you won't find love until you love yourself. And I can get why that feels triggering. It's easy to interpret it as a suggestion that you are unworthy of love until you love yourself or until you're perfect. But that's actually not the message at all. Here's what I've come to realize: when you harm yourself with self hatred and don't believe in your worth, it becomes harder to fully receive the love that others offer. Even when someone showers you with affection, you may struggle to let it in because you can't see your own beauty in the mirror. The greatest gift that you can give yourself is love. When you nurture your love for yourself, it doesn't just transform your relationship with you, it opens the door to receiving love from others. They will reflect your magnificence back to you, and it will feel real because you've already begun to see it in yourself. So let me tell you this from someone who's been through it. When you love yourself, people are naturally drawn to you. They feel safe and inspired in your presence because you permit them to love themselves too. You show them what it feels like, and it's contagious. Loving yourself isn't just about transforming your own life, it's about offering the world a gift, the permission to do the same. And that, my friend, is the essence of soulful beauty. Now, that wild, untamed essence within you, the one you've abandoned or mistreated, may not trust you right away. That's part of your journey. Whether or not you were given the tools to love yourself, it's now your responsibility to make that change. No one else can do this part for you. Self-love is an inside job. Some days the wildness may turn its back on you and say, not today. Other days it might cautiously take whatever you offer and then disappear. But then there will be moments when it looks you in the eye, piercing you to your soul. I lost my page. I got carried away. Oh shit. No. Okay, no one else can do it for you. Self-love is an inside job. Some days that wildness may turn its back on you and say not today, and other days it might cautiously take what you offer and then disappear. But then there will be moments when it looks you in the eye, piercing through to your soul. These moments are rare, but they are worth every ounce of effort. To befriend yourself, you must show up consistently. You must be willing to hold space for your wildness without attachment to expectation. It's about building trust little by little until that untamed part of you recognizes the love that you've been offering and starts to believe it. This is the slow, beautiful process of falling in love with yourself. It's the greatest love story that you will ever have. The most common complaints in relationships are a lack of emotional closeness, a lack of support, and not feeling loved or prioritized. But what if your love affair with yourself could be the balm to heal these wounds? Emotional closeness thrives in safety. And what if you became your own safe haven? If you became your own teammate instead of your own worst enemy? Cultivating joy and connection with yourself creates a sense of support so strong. Even if you were the only person on earth, you would still feel held and cared for. Prioritizing yourself slashes those complaints because when you love yourself, you are the priority. Let me take you back to my bisexual heart. I identify as queer, a solo poly girl, and my number one relationship is with me. My number two, my ride or dies, my higher self, and my eternal being, and the universe that we dance in. I only invite others into my polycule when these relationships, these core relationships, are in harmony. No crunchy notes, because these are my home base. And I've set up such a solid foundation that I often choose solitude. Because if somebody doesn't love themselves as deeply as I love myself, then we are not aligned. They won't understand me and they'll inevitably drain me. And I can't do the inner work for them. I would rather be single, filled with self love and respect, than partnered and unseen for the incredible person that I am. I choose solitude over being misunderstood every time. When I'm alone, I cherish myself as I would a lover. The way I would look in the morning, rumpled and cozy with sleepy eyes and bedhead, the joy in my body, even with all its quirks and oddities, like my trumpet-like farts that make me laugh, reserved only for those that I love, myself included. On rough days, I hold myself. When I'm sick, I tuck myself into bed, whispering soothing words to calm myself in the storm. I treat myself like my most beloved companion. And let me tell you, my inner being responds with the pure joy of a dog when their favorite person comes home. It's this deep, unwavering, like wiggle waggle in your heart. It's love for myself that creates a sense of fulfillment that no one else could ever really replicate. I guarantee that you have an internal blueprint for how you would like to be loved, how you want to be loved. Let's own it. If you expect somebody else to follow it, they'll never do it perfectly. The only person who can do it exactly right in their perfectly imperfect way is you. I've been told that I'm an artist and the muse, and that I've come to embrace that truth. I am the masterpiece and I am the creator, forever in awe of the beauty I bring into being. That's the magic of self love. It's not just a romance, it's an ongoing creation. I am the canvas and I'm also the artist. So now we're going to do an exercise and it's called Discovering How You Like to Be Cared For. Take a moment to reflect these questions. Allow your answers to guide you in understanding how you best receive care and affection. Then write a letter to yourself as though you're leaving instructions for somebody else, for someone else who will care for you like you would for your beloved pet or child. Number one, how would they make sure that I feel loved and valued? What kind of words, actions, or gestures would make me feel seen, truly seen and appreciated? Do I prefer compliments or quiet acts of service? Would they show affection physically, emotionally, or both? I'll give you a few moments. How would you like, okay, number two, how would you like, how would they make, nah, how would they make me feel safe when I'm upset or stressed? Do I like to be given space or do I want them to be there offering comfort? Do I like space or do I like comfort? And what specific actions would help calm me down or give me peace of mind? Number 3, how would they support me when I'm struggling mentally or emotionally? What kind of support or encouragement do I need when I'm feeling down or overwhelmed? Oh, there we go. Do I need them to offer advice or listening? Is listening more important? I'm going to repeat that one because I kind of zoned out. I lost my travel. So how would they support me when I'm struggling mentally or emotionally? And what kind of support or encouragement do I need when I'm feeling down or overwhelmed? Do I need them to offer advice or is listening more important in that situation? What number 4? What kind of environment or atmosphere would make me feel at ease? Would I feel better in a quiet, calm environment? Or do I need some background noise, like music or a show? I need to go and eat supper. I'm tongue tied because I'm hungry. Do I need the space to be tidy, or is it okay if it's messy sometimes? Everybody's different. And number 5, how would they take care of my physical being? How would they make sure that I'm comfortable if I'm feeling physically off or unwell? Would they encourage me to get rest, hydrate, or eat nourishing food? And if they did, would it be in a particular way? Number 6, how would they care for my exercise and movement needs? Do I prefer to be encouraged to be active, or would I like them to join me in activities like yoga, walking, or dancing? What kind of exercise routine feels good for me, and how would they support me in sticking to it? Number 7, how would they respect my sleep and bedtime routine? Do I need a certain amount of quiet time or routine before bed to sleep well? Water. Just swallowed spit. Okay. Um, what is the ideal time for me to go to sleep and wake up? How would they make sure that I'm getting enough rest? And number 8, what are my special needs or things that I might require extra care around? Are there any specific conditions, quirks, or sensitivities that need special attention? For example, allergies, mental health struggles, or physical pain? And how would they ensure that I felt understood and supported around these needs? Number 9, what does my ideal care look like in the event of an emergency? What does my ideal care look like in the event of an emergency? Sorry, I zoned out for a text. Literally, like having post cancer, post menopause, and PTSD and neurodivergence together. Like, it's like herding cats in my brain. Um, so, back to the emergency. If something were to go wrong, what steps would they take to make sure that I'm okay? Who would they call in case of an emergency? Would they call my doctor, a close friend, or a therapist? And how would they make me feel safe and reassured in the middle of the chaos? How would they nurture my sense of joy and fun? What activities or hobbies would they encourage me to enjoy? And how would they help me relax and laugh, especially when I need a break from stress? How would they treat me on tough days? When I'm feeling down or tired, what would be the best way for them to show up for me? Would they give me space to rest or would they offer light distraction or support? Number 12, what would they do to show me how important I am to them? What kind of little surprises or gestures would make me feel cared for and appreciated? would they take time to check in with me even when things seem fine? Now, great work. That might have been challenging, easy, confusing, surprising. You might need to go back and dive deeper. You might have got stuck, and it's okay. You can just keep asking the question. And if you can't picture it, what sometimes the way we care for others is the way that we want to be treated. So you can think, if my pet was sick, how would I support my pet? That's actually what I learned during cancers. One of my teachers, I think it was Erica Alsborn, Sweden's Sweden's hottest sex coach. She's amazing. She said, if it was her, if it was her, it might have been Layla. I'm going to link all my favorite teachers in the end anyways, because they've all influenced me to get to where I am here today. But so I pictured my cat. I don't have cats anymore, but I was like, if I was at the vet with my cat, and it's that moment when you let them out of the cage because they want to be close to you, but they know that the vet is also going to come in, and they're just like, oh, I had a cat, Stewie. He used to hide in the sink. And the vet would always say, that is the cutest thing. I've never, none of the other animals hide in the sink. So maybe he lived in tornado zone in another life before I got him, and he knew to just like jump in the bathtub and race. So, but when I asked myself, what would I do? I would go to where my cat was, and then I would kind of create a bit of a covering for her or him. So they felt an embrace, but also that they could escape if they wanted to. And then usually I would just like pet them right there, that little super, super soft spot between little kitty cats for furry eyes. And it's not like it wasn't like automatic. It's not like they stopped shaking internally. They didn't all of a sudden go, oh, I'm safe, I'm fine. What they did was they felt comforted in the situation, and they felt connected to me, and we were regulating together. So I thought to myself, I had my cancer journey during the pandemic, and so I did a lot of my appointments alone because sometimes that was the restriction, and then sometimes I was too scared to bring people in. I didn't want people to come to the hospital with me because if they got sick, then I felt like I would just like really, really suffer. When I was in high school, or in grade 12, I had mononucleosis. That's like kissing disease, I think. And I didn't know that I had it yet, or I didn't really know how big of a deal it was. And I went to a birthday party, and the little sister of the girlfriend that I was celebrating the birthday with, she caught it and she got really sick. Like she was in the hospital. And I'll never forget that mom was just like, why did you come if you were sick? And I was like, I didn't know. And um, we all learn, like you can only learn by making mistakes, but every time we make a mistake at the expense of someone else, it puts people at risk. So that's why we need to share information with each other so that we don't have to keep repeating the mistakes over and over and over again. So now I want you to use the insights that we talked about in that journal exploration. I want you to imagine you're leaving instructions for the care of a pet or a child when you're away. How would you want someone to take care of you, knowing all the answers to these questions? Here's a starting point to get you thinking. So I have pet sit many, many times. And one of the most intimate, sweetest things is how people write instructions for how to take care of their cats, because they put in all the little, like, he likes his little boop boop treat at 8 o'clock, and he needs a brushing at this time, and he likes to poop at this time. And if you've ever babysat, then you know the bedtime instructions are there and their favorite stories. And it's so darling. We know how to take care of the people who are in our proximity, but we often put ourselves last. And so at the end of the day, when there's no more energy, we will take from our stocks to go into rest rather than kind of doing the things that our body needs, in the same way that a dog or any kind of pet, a little bird or cat, our children, your partner, anybody who is in need of a caretaker and they're dependent on you. We know how to do this for other people. So I want you to, if you have a bond like that that you can tune into, I want you to play like that Freaky Friday, like all the movies have done it, where you trade places. And so if it was the other person that was caregiving for you, now, how would you like to be taken care of? What are your little sweet things? So, dear Jennifer, dear your name. If you're reading this, someone is stepping in to care for you. Here's everything they need to know to take care of you the way that you deserve. So, love and comfort. What does love look like for you? What actions would make you feel truly loved? For me, love and comfort is being able to um, be authentic with whatever is coming up. Because in the same way as when you have gas and maybe you're in the board meeting or you're on the bus and you can't let it out, it kind of bubbles back up, right? And then it's even more embarrassing because your stomach is going like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And everybody in that fucking room knows that you need to fart, but there's nothing that you can do, right? So love and comfort for me is, it looks like when I can have a meltdown if I need to have a meltdown, that there isn't like a timer on how long it's acceptable to cry, that I can cry, I can scream, I can calm down and then come back up again like a symphony, like a wave crashing, and it can go up and down as long as it needs to. For me, asking me to stop crying after I've started. So it's very important for me, if I am not in a safe place, to not start crying, because once I start, I can't stop. I'm like that with drinking too. That's why I quit many times ago. But it's because if I do release a little bit, then more of it comes out and it becomes a floodgate. I get emotionally flooded. And for me, I feel less safe. I don't feel a relief from that. I feel like all eyes are going to be on me and I'm vulnerable and I can't breathe and I can't ground. And I'm like, ah. So somebody who doesn't get deterred by that, by how my anxiety expresses itself at times, and sometimes the distance that I need and the space, and listens to my words when I'm going nonverbal, because it's kind of like when comms go down and all of a sudden you've got like one word that you can get out and that's all you got. So it's like you need to be able to like hear that word and know exactly what I mean and not ask me 125 questions to clarify, because I don't have the strength to explain it to you. So I will give up and pretend that I don't have needs. When you're stressed, how would you like to be comforted when you're stressed or overwhelmed? I like to be asked what I need in the moment and for people to not assume. And I like to be able to say what I need and then for them to say, kind of like when you go, like I used to be a first aid instructor. And so that point when you come upon the scene and there's an emergency and you run off to to call 911, and they say, um, they say, stay on the phone with me. So I like to be comforted when I'm stressed with that calm voice of like the 911 operator. Not that I've called 911 that many times. I think I've called them a couple times, but um, like meditation teachers have it, yoga teachers have it, most health care people, if they're heart centered, have it, and they can, teachers have it, moms, dads, everybody, to kind of like, if everything's up here, it's like whew, letting it come down, and then whew, and letting it stay down if you can, like kind of, and just keep going so that it's going to go down, and then sprinkle, and not asking me questions when I'm up here, it's bringing me down first, and then we problem solve together, because I just get worse up here because I'm nonverbal and I can't talk, and I'll panic more if I can't perform answering and explaining. So, so when I'm stressed, I need co-regulation, somebody who's going to um, touch me with their eyes, their hands, or their hearts, and say, you're not alone. I'm here with you. Breathe with me. Take a deep breath. I know everything feels really scary, but you're safe. I'm here. I can see you. There's no danger. I'm here with you. So that's how I learned how to talk to myself. I knew how to do it to everybody else. I didn't know how to do it to me for a while. It took me about 46 years. Physical care. What can they do to support your physical needs, like sleep, food, or exercise? The first thing to go when I'm stressed, and stress for me, if I'm engaged, if I like the possibility of where this path is going, I have no problem getting started. I do have problem gauging how long it would take to finish and how hard it may or may not be. And then also, I forget about the everyday things that happen every day. Like, you should think that like brushing my teeth should be like a given, right? Like, I'm 49 years old. That's a lot of days of brushing my teeth, and yet it is not muscle memory for me. And sleep is, I generally have really good sleep hygiene, and I kind of have a routine. But then also, because I'm like, whatever my mix of neurodivergence is, I have a lot of intersecting pieces. I've got the ADHD, I've got giftedness, I've got PTSD, which is also a neurodivergence, and I'm pretty sure I'm in the ADHD, so the autistic and a bit ADHD, which means they're in complete competition with each other. One of them likes risk and novelty, and the other one thrives in routine and safety, and so they fight. And so, but so it's for some, and I do have signals though. I have tells. So when I worked in criminal justice, and I also worked on the border, I was also a teacher, and people have tells when they're lying. I even have tells. Like, it's really good to record yourself like I am now, because when I look at it, I'm like, I could tell that I was nervous right there because I did a little whatever. Like, there's something that comes out physically that shows my internal experience. And so, and there are tells for me. Part of my ADHD neurodivergence has a part where I need to pick. It's like a sensory thing. So I have this desire to smooth it over. So if I've got like a little blemish or a little hair, I will just keep over and over and pick and pick and pick. And then, and if I'm in what I call my raccoon mode, which could be a flare of creativity because I am a creative, I always, like my entire career, for the most part, until the very last chapter, there was always shift work in my life. I spent a humongous portion of my life living in the dark when everybody else was sleeping. And so sometimes I just have these, and I'm up, and I completely flip my schedule, even though I'm not working nights. It's like my body still is just like, let's stay up at night. Let's stay up late tonight and do crazy stuff like we used to when we worked at blah, 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 or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. Because I got some of my best work done on the night shift because it wasn't as busy. Um, so, so the physical care, what they can do to support my physical needs like sleep, food, or exercise is to notice. Um, if I'm picking, there's a very good chance that something's bothering me, and I'm worrying, or I'm lost in thought and I'm not noticing how much I'm picking at my face. And I might need like a cup of tea or a meal, or to just shake it out, to have a dance, to go for a walk, get some fresh air, to have a bath or a shower or a sauna, any of those things. So picking my face is a big thing that they can watch for. So that's the support, is watching for. It's kind of like watching a temperature gauge go up, because my barometer from stress has symptoms when I'm going out of the boiler point and I'm going outside of my zone of comfort. There will be signs. And so, not that staying up late is a bad sign, because it seems to be a part of my creative life. However, if I'm not taking extra care of myself while I'm in the night, and I'm trying to also meet the demands of the day, not napping and losing my routine. This is usually when I lose my routine and I forget to shovel, or I can't clean up after myself for a little while. Um, so noticing things like that, I would be like, okay, Jen's kind of, she's a little bit, I don't know the word for it, but I know how to recognize it. I know how to see it. And food. So physical care, when I have a history of disordered eating. When I was a young girl, I watched a documentary on bulimia. And instead of walking away with the knowledge of that looks dangerous, her life looks horrible, she ended up in treatment, she ruined her family, like that looks like, oh, my underdeveloped teenage mind said, I could eat and then throw up, and then maybe people won't fat shame me anymore. And so I did that for a long time. And so I have a history of disordered eating since I was that old. And I have a sugar obsession. Like, my mom would try to hide the candies in the house, and I would find them. I would climb up on the counters like a squirrel, and like kind of get in there. And I actually remember, so this is one time. So I was in a crazed kind of sweet thing. It was after Halloween, and she'd given me some treats, but I still wanted more, and I knew exactly where they were. And so, as a preschool teacher, I know this exact moment when it's just a little bit too quiet, and you may have like communicated a boundary a little while ago, and then they let you get comfy over there, and then secretly they're still going after what they wanted. And so my auntie Fran, who was a sweetheart and my mom's like real bestie sister when I was little, she had gone to a ceramic pottery class and made this, was it an owl? I think it was an owl. And the Halloween candy was in there, and I went to get the Halloween candy. And because I was little, I was like 5, I was in kindergarten, I tried to get the candy. I probably was like trying to reach, and I broke the cookie jar that my auntie Fran made. And I know my mom felt the distance from my auntie Fran, and so the cookie jar was like, one of those sweet gifts, those loving handmade gifts. And they're that reminder every day that you go and you, on the counter, you see, oh, my sister made that for me. I'm an only child, so I can only guess. But so my mom kept the letter that I wrote for Santa. At school, I apparently wrote a letter to Santa saying, could you please bring me a cookie jar that looked like the one that I broke when I was trying to get the Halloween candy? And because my mom's really sad that I broke it, and I felt really bad. So, but this isn't new. This little raccoon part of me, like, she's been with me forever. And so instead of being obsessed, and I say obsessed for me, not for you. That's a word I used to describe me. Um, and convinced that I need to stifle that part of me. It's actually to just be like, I see you, kiddo. Okay, bring it, right? And to make a sacred container to have a safe place for that energy, because pretending or hoping that it's going to go away or change is delusional. So if that makes sense, I might have over whatever, but so then the next one, mental health. What do you need when your mental health is a struggle? So when I tip over the edge and I go into burnout or mental health struggle, which could be there's been a couple different reasons why that has happened. When my ovaries were removed without my consent, I had such deep trauma, and I went into surgical menopause overnight. There was no aftercare, there was no medicine available for me. They didn't even give me the proper paperwork to reflect that they changed the surgery from a tubal ligation to an orphorectomy. I think that's how you say it. And so I went home and went to work like a day or so later, even though the surgery was very different. And so I put myself at risk driving. I went home alone after a surgery that was more complicated than the tubal ligation. My emotions were insane. I felt violated and confused. And so what do I need when my mental health is that struggle? I need a release. So um, and I need to scream. So I might scream into a pillow, I might cry, like, and I mean wail, like a wailing wall, sobbing. When I'm orgasmic, it's loud. It's almost like, oh, like letting out everything. Like sometimes I think I've had multiple surgeries, and sometimes after this last one, I feel like my body, even though it's asleep, under sedation and anesthetic for that, it doesn't mean it didn't experience the pain. And so sometimes I think that that scream, that silent scream that we sometimes carry inside of us, I had major silent screams of injustice, like terror, violation, pain, all stuck in my body. And so I needed a safe space where my voice could come out, where people weren't going to be eye rolling and or just scared of the noise and trying to put it out like it was a dangerous fire when actually it's just lancing a wound and letting it go out. So sometimes it's space. It depends on how you handle what I'm putting out there in my struggle. Sometimes it's good to just throw me the circle, like if I'm down the river, and be like, I can't jump in with you because I can't swim here. This is hard. But I'm going to ground myself here, grab the ring. I will pull as much as I can. Like, you're not alone. Don't give up. And then sometimes I need people to take care of some of the executive functioning that's required, like um, helping me, not asking me if I've eaten, just like making sure that I've eaten, making sure that you put food in front of me because I will forget. Um, and just checking in with me with some compassion. I have high compassion needs um, for my mental health, and then special needs, any extra care or things to keep in mind. So, um, if people get into my proximity, I teach them all about my ADHD and what to expect from me and what is sort of a non negotiable and something that I've been trying to change my entire life. And I've just sort of said, I'm not going to struggle with that anymore. I'm going to accommodate the problems that come from that place where I can't seem to overcome. Like I can't mind the gap. It's just, I keep trying and it just keeps falling. Um, so I definitely always have conversations with people, and I don't know, did I say it before that if I'm crying and you kind of go, oh, they're there, like, oh, calm, you're okay, like try to make me laugh when I'm not finished crying. That's like trying to ask me to stop mid fucking shit when I have diarrhea. And it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. It just makes everything more explosive and it makes me so scared. Emergencies. What's the plan if something goes wrong? So, um, you know, if something were to happen to my body or my mind, if I lost consciousness, if my mental health was going down and you notice signs, If it's an emergency and you're like, uh-oh, then I would want you to call 911, or if you weren't with me, or if you can, then accompany me to the hospital and advocate for me. Because if it's an emergency, I might not be able to advocate for myself. And I actually am working on a green folder to put over top of my fridge so that anybody would have anything like that if they came and they needed to take me to the hospital, or if the paramedics came, there's going to be documents on top of my fridge that is all of those things put out when I'm in a good state of mind, where I'm grounded and safe and able to express my wishes for the short term and the long term, depending on what's going on, right? And then for fun and joy, what makes you feel happy and relaxed? How can they help you nurture that? So fun and joy, I love comedy. I love joking around. I love riffing. I love dancing. So little silly dancing, going for walks, playing with a puppy, like throwing something for the dog to chase and just laughing at how cute animals are, or gardening, visiting, enjoying like sweet food, and I like FaceTime video calls too. I really like the pandemic really got me into video calls, and I find a lot of comfort from that, connecting even if I can't leave the house. And then at the end, so once you've answered all those for yourself, your answers should be completely different and tailored towards you. I just rambled on so that you could hear my process and give you permission to have those same permissions, for yourself to give yourself that care and instruction and consideration. So at the end, I want you to sign it off saying, "Thank you for loving me and taking care of me. I trust you to honor these needs and to keep me safe and happy even when I'm not able to fully care for myself. With love, your name." And for me, Jennifer. Self-care is love in action. When you love, or when you care for yourself intentionally, you fall in love with yourself and you realize that you're not missing anything. You're not waiting for someone to complete you, because you are already holding the key to your own joy, peace, and belonging. You are the home that you've been searching for. So, what if you stopped chasing love outside of yourself and you started creating it from within? What if, instead of waiting for someone else to see you, what if you saw yourself so clearly that the whole world couldn't help but reflect it back? Loving yourself is a revolution. It is resistance. That's why it's hard. You know, resistance training, right? It's a revolution because it's powerful. The powers that be do not want us to be this powerful. But this is why, this is the little DNA, the little blueprint that was in the seed when you were blossoming and born. I'm freestyling now. It's the art of becoming whole. And when you master this art, you don't just change your life, you change the way the world sees love. Because when you love yourself deeply, you don't just heal yourself, you give others permission to do the same. So, thank you for listening and for joining me. And if you feel inspired after writing this for you, I would love for you to send it to me. I would love to witness that for you. Um, I think you'll be surprised. I want to tell you the story about this actual thing. So, I have a friend who, I have several friends. I think there's about 3 ladies that I would call quite regularly throughout the pandemic when I was in isolation. And we would do something called CCD. And it's from one of my teachers, Layla Martin, and it's called Celebration, Clear, and Desire. It's kind of like those feedback sandwiches. So if you have something hard, you're going to cover it with something celebratory to raise the vibe so that you can talk about and release the thing that's hard. And then you come back up with the desire, and we end on the high note of what is in the GPS and what are we working towards. And so, um, one time I wrote an article my very first art or my second art, both of them. They kind of have the same message. And one time I was really sad. It was after my last surgery. I'd really come back from the breast cancer, my double mastectomy with my reconstruction. I was healing. I was adapting to the new normal. I was at work. I was almost at full capacity again. And I was feeling strong. And I was like, this is my comeback. And I was starting to get excited. And then I went in for what was supposed to be a day surgery. And I feel like these other surgeons took me so far, and then I was deleted by a day surgery, honest to God. And so they took my ovaries without my consent, like I mentioned earlier. And I was so sad, and I didn't know why because it was all very confusing. And my friend, because in my writings, my previous writings, these two articles that I wrote, I talked about dancing every day, and I talked about cultivating joy and crying every day and then dancing. And she said, Jen, do you need to read your own article? Are you okay? I think you need to listen to your own medicine because that makes you really happy. And so that's sort of an example of noticing. She was noticing that I was slipping. And then she knew that I knew how to do what she was asking me to do. And she was giving me a gentle reminder. Jen, remember in Lust Scene, you wrote this article about what to do when you're in the depths of despair. You talked about how you danced every day with the fitness marshal and how it brought you back every time after crying. And then she said, have you danced today? Did you cry today? Is anything stuck? And so I love that. And then when I wrote this, I had that in mind. It was remembering when she said that, like, did you do your own medicine? Did you do it? And so I wrote this and I sent it off to my publisher and the editor to be reviewed. And then something that I do, this is part of my neurodivergence, is I put something out there and it's very vulnerable and then I'm terrified, so I don't look at it again. So I didn't reread it again. I was like, well, it's already sent off. Like, why am I going to edit it when the editor's editing it? And I was like, it's just like, you just got to let it go. And so I would wait until it came back. And sometimes it was a while. And I would almost block it out. I have a brain that can block things out if they're too scary. And then I was so sad. I was so sad when my edit of this chapter came back. And when I read it, I started crying. My own words. Again, so it's like I needed to read my own chapter because I will forget again and again and again and again. And so I sat down and I wrote it. I wrote my list. And then the next day, so then I felt better. It was kind of like that was my, whatever was stuck got to come out. And then the next morning it was sitting on my table and I had my coffee and I read it and I was like, oh, Jen, you're so precious. And I will do this gleefully for you. It's the fucking bee's knees and I'll do anything for you. But this is about is for you to put this there so you have it. Not because you're going to think about that one day you're not going to be able to take care of yourself, but because it's just a storm of life. We all have storms of life. And as a preschool teacher, as a supervisor, as a court official, like all the jobs that I've ever had all over the world, you always get told what to do in case of fire. You get shown where the fire extinguishers are, where the exits are, where you're going to meet afterwards, if there's any numbers that you have to call, who's in charge of putting the vest on and the little speaker to say, hey, everybody follow me. And who's the person that remembers the clipboard to take the names so that when you get over to the muster point, you're like, okay, Jen was at work today. So-and-so was at work today. And how many kids did we have today? Okay, good. Everybody's here. Check. And all the while the alarm is going, and there's no fire. And does it take time out of the day? Is it annoying? Is it a transition? Yeah, of course it is. Sometimes you just like, I wish I could just get my work done. But when it happens, you want to have this in place. You want to be ready. You want to be ready. You don't want to have to Google what's first aid for a broken fucking heart. What's first aid for breast cancer? What do I do? People will ask you, how can I help? When you get a diagnosis like breast cancer and you don't know what you need. And if you don't advocate for yourself, that you have permission to want and need that and to ask for it and to find it, it will be very hard for you to receive help because there's kind of like it gets lost in translation. And there's already so many things taking your energy when you're in a diagnosis. It's like, it's kind of like when somebody's stealing the electricity and they're taking all of this and you're like, wait a minute, I need that electricity back. Bring it back. No, 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 bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Okay, okay, I got you, I got you. So when I was, when I went in for my double mastectomy, my friend dropped me off at the hospital. I had to go in alone. I was all by myself. Even afterwards, nobody could come and visit me because of the pandemic. And I remember being very scared. And I thought about what my teacher said about, you know, if you were a pet, how would you calm your pet in a situation like that? And so I invite you to test this out. So we did this one, right? But like if you're in public and you can't like pet your third eye, then just your thumb right there. And so she said, imagine that your thumb is a baby cheeky, like a yellow fluff musters. Or if it's like a little bunny, it's so little. And you just pet it. And so if you were sitting and you were nervous and you were afraid that you were going to bubble over in your terror of what's happening, you can just pet your little thumb and not very many people would notice. And as you're doing this now, I want you to take your energy away from this finger and I want you to go embody your thumb, and I want you to receive your own touch as though, so the thumb is the chick that you're petting. So I want your little thumb to receive that loving. Oh, it's so sweet. My touch is so darling. It's so comforting. It's so small. It's so subtle. I think that's it for today. I shall do more of these. So if you enjoyed this, please connect with me on my socials, LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram for now, or send me an email and let me know how this was for you. And if you have a partner, if you have a child, if you have anybody else that lives in the house, after you've done it for yourself, what if you have a family meeting one day and you lead them through it? You can change it to make it more age appropriate, break it down smaller, simpler, in whatever way you need to. Just adapt and adjust and see if everybody could write their little things. So we know what everybody's bedtime routine and story is. What are the hardest things for them when they're not feeling well? And where can you help them? And how do they like to receive comfort? And all of those things. And yes, so that's it for now. That's Soulful Beauty again. I will attach the question. I'll attach the chapter so you have the whole chapter. And then I actually, if you're like, if you have to type. There is something magical and intuitive that comes from writing. So I like both. You could try both. And I would also say that this needs to be updated regularly because we adjust, adapt, and change. Our situations change, our jobs change, our health changes. So many things happen. And so I would almost reevaluate it seasonally, just kind of check in and just be like, oh, yeah, yep. Oh no, like I hurt my knee. So actually, yeah, no, physical care, like it would be really helpful if the people in my life would carry the heavy things or not ask me to do things where I need to be on my feet, different things like that. So if you update it every 3 or 4 months, and then also have a family meeting and have everybody practice reading it out loud. So, and if you're alone, like I am, then just read it out loud in a Zoom and then watch the Zoom after so that you see yourself communicating it and that you can also receive the message coming from yourself, but through your eyes and your ears on the screen. There's some magic that transfers there. And if you guys practice this with yourself and with your families, it's practice. Everything takes practice. And so if you practice saying it and thinking about it and updating it every season, and you practice speaking it, when the time comes and you're meeting somebody new and you really like them, but you're not sure if they can do this, you're not going to be for a lack of words or a lack of confidence on communicating these things to somebody who's entering your life. You will have confidence, you will be rooted in it, and it will really feel good to communicate it. So, thank you so much. This was an honor. And see you soon. Bye.